Welcome to the Employer Ownership Pilot Round 2 webinar. During this webinar, you will hear from Simon Perryman, Executive Director at the UK Commission for Employment and Skills, and Sharon Creary from the Department for Business, Innovation and Skills. Please allow me to welcome Simon Perryman, who will talk you through what the Employer Ownership Pilot is about.
Hello and welcome to all. My name is Simon Perryman. It's really great to see so many business leaders engaging with the Employer Ownership Pilot. I'm one of 4 executive directors at the UK Commission for Employment and Skills, a publicly funded agency which focuses on business, employment and skills issues. UKCES is led by 27 commissioners and chaired by Charlie Mayfield, chairman of the John Lewis Partnership. Other commissioners include leading business people, top trade unionists and voluntary sector organisations. Collectively, we're striving to bring strategic leadership to jobs and growth through skills. The Commission is a partner organisation collaborating with employers, trade associations, sector skills councils and local enterprise partnerships. Over 80% of the Commission's resource is co-invested with employers and their representatives across various industries, sectors and local areas. Many of you will be here because you recognise that skills matter to the success of your business. Skills drive productivity, both for the businesses and the economy as a whole. Whilst for individuals, it's about securing a better job. Investing in skills needs to be an intrinsic part of securing jobs, competitiveness and growth for the UK. The aim of the Employer Ownership Pilot is to transform the way that employers engage with the skills system. We need to find more effective and sustainable ways to improve workforce skills and to use these improved skills to drive up productivity and growth. Our belief is that this is best achieved by transforming the UK's current approach, by relying less on government setting and managing the agenda, and instead taking bold steps to encourage greater employer ownership of skills in partnership with employees and trade unions. This is our opportunity to make a long-term difference to the growth agenda. This is especially important when you consider the challenging economic outlook we currently find ourselves in. In the years to come, the UK's long-term competitiveness will be reliant on the skills and entrepreneurship of our people. A lasting and sustainable recovery requires balanced long-term skills investment to stimulate technological progress, business innovation, to exploit emerging markets and allow the UK to effectively compete in a knowledge-based global economy. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'd like to talk you through 3 things. Firstly, I want to talk about key challenges facing employers who want to develop the skills of their people. Secondly, I want to take you through the guiding principles underpinning our vision for employer ownership of skills. And finally, I want to talk about the key actions we need to take now. So, firstly, what are the challenges facing business? Our latest research, which surveys 85,000 businesses in the UK, the largest skills survey in the world, shows that across the UK, 59% of businesses arranged training in the last 12 months. However, it also shows that there are a significant number of organisations, in fact nearly half of all businesses, who would have liked to have done more training than they actually did. For those which didn't train, a quarter couldn't identify a business need to do so, and 15% perceived there was a barrier. This begs the question, are employers really being ambitious enough? Clearly, there are opportunities to improve workforce skills. So, what is holding back businesses up and down the country? And why do we believe we need to have employers driving the skills system forward? A major problem that employers face comes in the form of systemic challenges. Over the past 2 decades, successive governments have driven the reform and expansion of our vocational skills system with notable successes. However, despite this, the skills of our labour market have become less competitive globally, and for many employers, the system is still too complex. This constant tinkering to the system has not resulted in the transformational, scalable change that businesses really need. We've found ourselves in a skills bubble, where skills have become detached from the broader industrial dialogue about what employers and the economy really need. These challenges have led to a situation where individuals, often young people, are being underutilised and in many cases struggle to find work. A striking example is that apprenticeships are underutilised as a career pathway for a young person. Do you know, only 15% of businesses actually employ formal apprentices. We now talk about the jinxed generation, a term coined by the FT to describe this generation of young people where structural changes in the labour market have really hindered their chances of getting into work. Many employers want to recruit someone to their second job, but not their first. This puts young people who are looking to make the transition from education to work in a disadvantaged position compared to older, more experienced workers in the labour market. It's often said that young people are feckless or work shy. Actually, our research shows exactly the opposite. Young people bring energy, new ideas and creativity and significantly impact upon the bottom line of your business. It is crucial that we reinvent routes into work for young people. And it's also crucial that we re-establish the link between the business community and government. Together we need to tackle critical skills challenges to provide the economy with innovation and growth. For me, these issues go hand in hand. So there's clearly a need to create the conditions for you, employers, to own the agenda, so that you can develop the skills you need to compete. By changing the way funds flow through the system and placing the responsibility and reward for investment in your hands, we think this is possible. This approach can only succeed working in partnership across an industry or locality and working with colleges and training providers to come forward with new approaches that are more effective in improving the skills and potential of new recruits and existing employees. We want this pilot to work with a grain of industry sectors, reaching small and medium-sized companies through the natural operation of the supply chain. If we can make this work from an employer perspective, you will get jobs done better. And for the employee, there will be the opportunity to get better jobs. The concept of employer ownership of skills is based upon 5 guiding principles. These principles not only show how the model is different from the current system, but also how it truly has the potential to transform the UK's skills base. The 5 principles are as follows. 1. Employers should have the space to own the skills agenda for growth in their industry and locality. This means that government needs to step back and help create the space for you to work with partners to really take charge of developing quality training opportunities, jobs and work experience. However, employers will only own a skills system that they value, one that delivers quality outcomes from their industry. Secondly, we need a single market for skills development. Currently there are 2 markets for skills, a publicly funded market, only used by about 30% of employers actually, and a private training market. We need to align these markets and provide a system where colleges and private training providers respond to genuine demand rather than state funding incentives. Thirdly, skills solutions should be designed by employer-led partnerships to reach more people and businesses. This means that employers and employees get the training that they know they need, moving decisions closer to the ground to reach more businesses operating within sectors, supply chains, or local networks and clusters. Fourthly, funding should follow ownership. For employers to own the skills agenda, public expenditure should shift from provider grants to incentives and investments which flow through employers into a single market for skills development. This is about making public money work harder. We need to directly transfer ownership and purchasing power to employers. We need to put government funding alongside private investment so we know that it will be used more wisely and pay for training that businesses really want. And 5, the final principle, is that transactions should be transparent rather than complex. Training should be clearly priced and negotiable to get great outcomes for employers and employees. The contribution of government, employers and individuals should be open and clear. We need to take action now. We need to build on the best examples of where we've already got it right, where partnerships between employers and colleges working with employees are developing skills and creating new opportunities. But specifically, action needs to be taken in 3 areas. We need to create the conditions for strong employer-led partnerships of business, trade unions and sector bodies. These need to step up and take full end-to-end responsibility for workforce development in their industry to create the greatest possible impact. Secondly, purchasing power for work-based training should be directed through employers, making the system both simpler and more accessible, especially for smaller businesses. And thirdly, in the future there must also be incentives for greater college collaboration with entrepreneurs and employers. We need to build on the very best of college and employer partnerships that exist already to achieve far greater reach and engagement with small companies. In Holland, for example, full-time college students spend at least 30% of their time in local companies as part of their formal course. In round 1, we were delighted to see employers stepping up to the challenge and coming forward with a wide range of exciting projects. Over 260 businesses applied, and through the first round of the pilot, we're supporting 37 innovative and exciting skills projects. Together, we need to magnify that effort in round 2. I hope we will see bids that are more ambitious on a number of fronts, including industrial partnerships in major sectors of the economy and also in key localities. My hope for round 2 is that bids will demonstrate that skills are an integral part of any wider industrial strategy. I want to encourage businesses to seize this opportunity and work together to develop ambitious, far-reaching and scalable proposals which support sustainable skills, jobs and growth for all. To support these ambitions in round 2, there's up to £240 million of public funding available for employers to co-invest alongside government. This money includes an additional £90 million that was recently announced in the autumn statement, an extremely encouraging indication of the government's support for this project. In our round 1 investment alone, we'll support the creation of lots of opportunities for young people. We've committed £87 million of public investment, with employers investing £115 million over the next 2 years. This will deliver about 11,000 apprenticeships and 49,000 other learning or training opportunities, including work experience and work placements. As well as the projects that the UK Commission have supported to date through the employer ownership pilot, we have also already invested in 112 projects through 2 other investment funds, the Growth and Innovation Fund and the Employer Investment Fund. Through these funds, we have invested £93 million of public funding, leveraging £80 million of employer investment. And this has allowed us to reach over 20 sectors of the economy, from engineering, filmmaking, from agriculture to pharmaceuticals. Finally, I'd like to stress that this pilot is a fantastic opportunity for you employers to take ownership of the skills you need to drive forward your businesses and recruit the talent you need to grow. I strongly encourage you to think very carefully about how best to engage with this pilot and then to come up with innovative and transformative skill solutions for your business, sector and locality. Thank you very much for your time.
Sharon Creary will now take you through more about the round 2 bidding process.
On behalf of the Department for Business, Innovation and Skills and the Department for Education, I will take you through the types of bids we're looking for as part of round 2 of the Employer Ownership of Skills pilot, give you an overview of what worked well in round 1 and finally outline the bidding process for round 2. In the second round of the Employer Ownership of Skills pilot, we're looking for 2 different types of proposals. Either proposals which enable employers to improve the skills of their current and future workforce, or those that take wider responsibility for skills development in a place or sector through industrial partnerships. Let's look at this more closely. first type of bid focuses on improving skills. Through these bids, we hope businesses can begin to flourish in ways which have previously been unachievable. For example, through addressing talent shortages, improving worker employability, upskilling those in work to support business growth, and developing higher quality apprenticeships and traineeships. The government is developing traineeships to support 16 to 24-year-olds to gain the right mix of skills and work experience to help them get an apprenticeship or other job. The government is keen to explore and pilot traineeships, including through the Employer Ownership of Skills pilot. It is currently seeking views on the design of traineeships from employers and other interested parties. The discussion paper can be found at www.education.gsi.gov.uk/trips. The second type of bid is industrial partnerships. An ambitious collaboration, such as an industrial partnership, is one way businesses can come together to take responsibility for growth in areas and/or sectors. As part of the pilot, we're particularly seeking these from sectors which are aligned to the industrial strategy, as they have the greatest potential for growth. The government's industrial strategies were announced by the Department's Secretary of State, Vince Cable, last November. These include advanced manufacturing, knowledge-intensive and enabling sectors. More information about this is in the Employer Ownership of Skills Pilot Prospectus, which can be found on the Commission's website. As well as bidding for participation funding, which is funding for training places, Round 2 of the Employer Ownership Pilot also offers the opportunity to apply for infrastructure funding, which is funding for the underpinning arrangements. This was funding that bidders could, until now, apply for through the Growth and Innovation Fund. However, the Growth and Innovation Fund has been aligned through the Employer Ownership of Skills Pilot and is available to support both types of bid. Through the pilot, we hope you'll be able to put in place the infrastructure needed to create the networks that can help you deliver specific outcomes, gain the support needed to promote meaningful qualifications, and the collaborations that can make this all happen. You can apply for just participation funding or just infrastructure funding or both. As you can see on this slide, here are some of the best characteristics we saw among successful bids from the first round of the pilot. We want to see more of this in round 2. We want to see bids that show a clear employer-led approach with strong partnerships. We want bids that have a strong employer commitment to investing in skills through private funding, and bids which clearly explain why an innovative approach is needed and why it isn't possible through the current system, all of which should be underpinned by a viable plan which sets out a clear route to delivering the training and evaluation of its success. In round 1, collaborations proved a key strength of bids. Collaboration with other employers, colleges or training providers is strongly encouraged, but please remember that a named employer must lead the bid. Whilst this is always the case, we know that partner organisations could well be useful to act as intermediaries, helping you coordinate activity or manage funding. This may be especially the case with bids involving small and medium-sized enterprises. Who can apply? Businesses of all sizes working in the private, public or voluntary sectors are encouraged to bid, although there is a £250,000 threshold for small and medium-sized enterprises and a £1 million threshold for large organisations. Bidders can be based anywhere, but the benefits of the project must solely be in England. How can you apply? Well, round 2 is open for business. The prospectus, which tells you about round 2, is available on the Commission's website, and the application form and guidance will be available on the Commission's website by the end of January. This is a staged process. We ask that you register and express an interest on the Department for Business, Innovation and Skills e-tendering portal by Monday the 11th of March. And again, please look out for the link to the portal on the Commission's website by the end of January. The deadline for full and outline bids is at 1 p.m. on Thursday the 28th of March. Details on the difference between a full and outline bid is explained in the prospectus. Employers that have submitted an outline bid that are invited to develop their proposals will then resubmit their developed full bid in the autumn. I'm now going to take you through how the bids will be assessed. Firstly, I'll talk about the assessment criteria and then the process. In our assessments of bids, we're looking for a number of things. The assessment criteria are laid out in the prospectus and on this slide. We'll be looking for evidence of employer leadership and genuine employer output, evidence that Skills Solutions is needed and will be delivered effectively and to a high quality. We're also looking for innovative proposals with robust project plans that deliver value for money, and we want to see their potential to add value to the skills system beyond the project's lifetime. I appreciate that form filling isn't everyone's cup of tea, but we ask you to bear with us so we can ensure a robust assessment process. Now I'll move on to the process of assessing the bids. If your bid meets all of the eligibility criteria, we'll consider your application. We may perform an initial sift on a subset of criteria, depending upon how many bids we receive. We will then assess applications against the full criteria, and an independent investment board will review shortlisted applications and select those that best match the investment criteria. A final decision, with ministerial approval, will then be taken within the context of ensuring a balanced portfolio of investment. And finally, I hope you will take the opportunity offered by the Employer Ownership of Skills Pilot to apply for a share of up to £240 million to help shape your workforce, improve young people's employment prospects, improve your bottom line, and help drive enterprise and economic growth. As mentioned, an application form and more guidance will be available by the end of January to help you inform the development of your bids. And please email the address on this slide if you have any further queries. Thank you for your time.